we're going to try to do this at the beginning.
All right. This is it.
Ready, set, go.
This is a podcast.
Yay! What is it called?
Creatures of the Night.
And I am Wendy.
And I'm Chris. Thank you for joining our podcast.
Good job. All right.
That's it. We did it. That's the one and only time. No.
Next time it'll be 20 minutes in.
Yeah, for sure.
You just never know. I was watching BuzzFeed again. I love watching the BuzzFeed Unsolved guys, Shane and Ryan. So I watch my regular weekly Ghost Adventures, and then it's over with. And then I'm like, what else can I watch? What else can I watch? And I know there's other stuff out there, like Paranormal Lockdown just started back.
Oh, have you seen it?
No, I haven't, because it's on a different channel. So it's hard for me to I act as if I don't know how to work my TV. And so I have to get my children to work my TV for me. So I only can watch what they can get me to watch through the TV.
I got to check it out. I didn't realize it had officially started. I knew it was coming up in December, even though this episode is airing in January.
Well, I haven't watched it either. And I think Kindred Spirits is coming out soon too. And I do like watching that because it's kind of a different vibe because they do more local, residential stuff. And so it's like a break from these mega intense locations just to somebody's house and what's going on in their house.
Personally, because they do a lot of New England stuff, I'm invested because it's like, okay, I'll probably see this person at our grocery store. That's where they are. I'm going to find them and be like, hey, I saw you. Can I come to your house too, bud? Because I do that thing. I can pick up where they left off.
Right. Well, I really like Adam and Amy's, what is that called? Chemistry together. So I like watching them, and I like that. It feels like you're watching yourself investigate. They're very these are the same kind of tricks that we do. This is how a real investigation seems to go.
Agree.
Except for she's way much better. She and him, but mostly her, I think, is who ends up going to the library. We talked about that before.
But they have time. That's what they
lack
do.
Of library skills on finding history of the house.
I would get lost.
And she's a fucking pro at it.
Look, I would go to the library with the intent to find out about a house, and then I'd be like, there's a whole Stephen King section here? Hold on. I just need to look at this. Just give me a sec.
So I tried to watch a different show, and I'm not going to name it because I didn't like it. And so I don't want to be a hater and tell you these fucking people suck. But me and my youngest started watching it, and even my youngest was like, these people are fucking boring. Oh, except for he didn't say fucking boring because I don't allow him to say that. Not yet.
You guys just started watching the Dead Files?
No, stop it. I think Amy Allen scares my youngest. She is intense as
I'm teasing.
Fuck.
That is one show that is far from being boring.
I don't think that he can watch those
crazy.
shows. But we were watching a different one that we had never watched before, and he was like, this one sucks. So we put on the BuzzFeed Unsolved guys because they're funny.
Yeah.
And so he likes that. But they did an episode, and I don't know how their episodes go, if there's any kind of time order to them. I just randomly find them and watch them.
That's what I do.
So there's this one that they investigated, this chick that also works for BuzzFeed Unsolved, Hannah Williams, and her house is haunted.
Cool.
And so they went to her house and everything, but she was telling the story about how she woke up in the middle of the night, and I guess one of her sons also woke up in the middle of the night, different time, and they both have kind of seen this same image, but they see this image and then they go back to sleep.
Yeah, right. Just like when you wake up and you see something on your treadmill or your, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm going back to bed. Cool.
Or I wake up and I hear noises and I'm like, what is that? The cat's with me. What? Huh? And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I'm sleeping.
It's warm. I'm going to just.
It made me think about why? Why does it happen? Why are you okay with the shit that's happened in your house?
I'm going to tell you.
How do you go back to being like, okay, that's over with. I'm going back to sleep.
I can tell you because I feel safe with it in my house. I don't feel like it's malevolent, and I do try to communicate with it, and I feel like I get answers every now and then. But as a paranormal investigator, I can see where you're coming from because it's like one of those things like, you bonehead, go and investigate. It's talking to you. But on the other hand, look, Wendy, I got to go to work the next day. Yeah, it might want to talk to me, but it can go and start my coffee pot for me when I come downstairs, do something a little helpful, do the fucking dishes or something. I mean, if you stay here, help me out, motherfucker. You see that I work all the time. No.
You're not paying rent.
No, you ain't paying rent.
Come on,
you can be confused as you all get out. I mean, sure, you don't know where the fuck you are, but I do, and I gotta go to work the next day. So for right now, no.
So this Hannah Williams lady, she saw something that basically looked like the chick from, what is it, The Ring, where her hair's...
What?
Yeah,
the hair and the white? She did not. In her house? Where does she live?
I mean, the way that you described it, that's what it looks like to me. And she saw it next to her bed, and she was just like... And she rolled over and went to sleep. And I'm like,
okay.
That's
not one of those things where I'd meh.
And she said it didn't put off the vibe, like she was scared. But so many times that happens is you're like, that's weird. That shouldn't have happened. And then you're like, yeah, all right, time to go to bed.
I mean, I saw something in my house too. And it was one of those things in the middle of the night. And I saw it in the same area that I always hear and see things or whatever. It didn't frighten me, but it didn't look frightening. Wendy, if I saw something that looked like the girl from The Ring, I wouldn't still be living here. I mean, I love horror movies, and that's just not something that I want to see roaming around my house.
Yeah. And her son had seen the same thing too.
The same thing?
And he went back to sleep. So.
Where do they... These people are awesome. Where do they live?
In California. Oh, and her house was really weird, just so you know. Like, they brought in a psychic to kind of read the area. And the psychic was like, it's not bad. But then, like, 5 seconds later, he was like, this is not good. And I don't remember the full episode now. It's like I just watched it the other day, but, you know, I'm silly. I can't remember shit. But I remember basically that the psychic was giving misinformation, where in the end, I was like, wait, I think this thing's a demon.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was me collecting this information, she looks like the chick from The Ring. You don't get a sense that there's a little kid here. You get a sense every once in a while there's a bad something here. And yeah, that's not good.
No.
That's not good.
That sounds like demon. Get out.
Yeah. I don't want to pull a Zach Bagans here and turn everything into a demon. But it didn't sound good. So it was really easy to be like, maybe you should put that house on the market.
Comes with a demon.
Some people would be into that.
The sign doesn't say in-ground pool. It says something else. Wow.
That's a good one. So I'm going to tell you a story.
Cool.
I'm going to tell you a couple of stories, actually, like a collection. So you know how much I love my dreams. Like, we often 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, we're texting each other like what we just dreamed or whatever in full detail. And then I will go the rest of the day obsessed with finding out what that meant. You know, I would be Googling, what does giant lizard in dream mean? And like if my work could see all my Google searches, they'd probably be like, this girl is
weird. But I tell you about some weird ass dreams too. Are you Googling those too?
I do. And I was telling someone the other day, I dream about animals a lot. A lot. And unique animals. Like
a variety of animals,
not just normal, like I saw a dog or a bear or something like that. No, I see a fucking javelina or a Komodo dragon or something like that. I dreamed of an elk. And I didn't think that was common. I live in the desert. We don't have elk.
No elk out there?
No. Well, I mean, yes, there are elk in Arizona, actually, but not where I live. Arizona's diverse, even though people don't realize that. So anyways, I love my dreams, and I love kind of deciphering my dreams and trying to see if they mean anything. And then I love to kind of, I keep a dream diary and to see if that ever amounts to anything, if it ever like connects with something else going on, because I'm just so fascinated by how vivid and crazy these dreams are.
You write down the dreams that you're having and then you cipher them?
Yes.
And then write that down too?
No.
You keep all of them?
No, I don't do that. And I probably should, but I guess I figure I could just Google it as well. just like I Googled it the day I wanted to know. I'll Google it later if I'm like trying to figure it out. But no, I just write down exactly what kind of happened in the dream or how it made me feel or something like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And it's really important to recite those dreams, whether you write it down immediately or if you tell someone like I do. I kind of just using you to tell you my dream. So because you'll recall it better if you immediately regurgitate the story to someone.
Yeah. Which is what I do to you. You're my dream
Exactly.
diary because
So you're using me, I'm using you. It's good. That's how it works.
It's good.
And there's a lot of people that do that kind of thing. And there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that have always at one time or another had some kind of strange feeling, like they thought something bad was going to happen or something big was going to happen, or they had a super vivid dream and they wondered if it meant something more. But very few people get the satisfaction of discovering that their gut feeling or that dream that they had was an actual premonition of the future. Per Dr. Larry Dossey, scientist and author of The Science of Premonitions, these psychic moments are very much a real experience. And you should allow yourself to take note and explore what they mean. Dr. Dossey, he's not playing around. This is not some doctor. I'm doing air quotes. No, he is legit a decorated Vietnam War surgeon. He was chief of staff at a Dallas hospital. He was an advisor to the National Institution of Health. And he was an executive editor of a leading peer-reviewed medical research journal. That's a mouthful.
He's got a nice collection of titles there.
So he's a real doctor and he's done real shit. He's not playing around. He's not self-proclaimed doctor or got him a PhD. He's actually got an MD. So, and nor does Dossey stand alone in his thoughts or theories of possibilities of the mind. Nobel Prize winner psychiatrist Erwin Schrödinger, I don't know. I'm sure you can Google him. Just Nobel Prize psychiatrist, and you'll find Erwin somebody. There can't be too many Erwins. But anyways. And also psychiatrist David Baum, I think, have both also done a lot of parapsychology, maybe?
Sure.
Research.
That works.
It's a really long word that starts with psychology. Yeah, I think parapsychology research. I think I'm saying that right. And believe they have found evidence of clairvoyancy, telepathy, and precognition. They found evidence of it. Not that it's just a thought that it could happen. Some people are clairvoyant. No. They are finding actual evidence that these things do exist. One of Dr. Dossey's most moving stories that he likes to share in lectures is that of a young mother named Amanda who lived in Washington State, who had a dream that she and her husband were standing in their baby's room, stunned by grief because of a storm that caused a large chandelier to fall into their sleeping baby's crib.
Oh, damn.
When Amanda woke from the dream, there was no storm outside. The night seemed normal and calm, and she went to the baby's room. The baby was fine, but she still took the baby back to the bed with her. Hours later, she and her husband both woke up because they heard a loud crash, and they both went to the baby's room and discovered that a chandelier had fallen into the empty baby's crib.
Why did she have a chandelier above the baby's crib?
It's a design choice, and I support it. It's very fancy. I like it, but hearing this story, I'm like, that's a negative. It might fall and kill your baby. Bad idea. Don't put the chandelier over the crib. Maybe in the center of the room, away from the crib. That's like hanging really heavy stuff over your bed. You know that if that something happens, a loud boom outside, and that shit falls off the wall, that artwork's smashing you in the head. Don't do that.
Look, I gotta say, I considered this for a while. You know how they were hanging flat screens all over the place? I was like, I'm gonna hang one directly over my bed so I can just lay in my favorite position and I can just watch straight up. But then I had that. It wasn't a premonition. It was just a thought. What if it falls down on me and while I'm sleeping? I might be decapitated, so I can't do that.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Won't do that.
But I can see with all my neck issues that I have, I support this thought
That's
process.
why me too.
But I'm glad you were like, yep, nope. So there was a storm going on when there hadn't been hours before, and the chandelier did break. So she had had a premonition of all of that happening. And so she got that satisfaction of knowing that her dream really meant something. Wow. But that's just one person's story. There are some quite famous premonitions that have actually come true, such as the fate of Richard Parker, the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym, P-Y-M. It's an Edgar Allan Poe. I didn't realize what a silly, hard name that was to say until now. I thought it was so easy before, but 3 glasses of wine in, it's a little rough. This is actually Edgar Allan Poe's only full-length novel. It was published in 1838. It was the only novel he actually wrote. I guess he only wrote short stories or poems. The story is about the main character, Pym, it's a recounting of the misadventures as a stowaway. Pym was a stowaway on a whaling ship in the novel, and it's shipwrecked, and the crew turns to cannibalism. Ugh.
Yes, my kind of story. Let's talk about the cannibals.
So they run out of food, and they decide to eat the cabin boy. I've
got to find this book. This is on my Christmas list for, next year, I guess, anyone who's listening.
So they eat the cabin boy, Richard Parker, and sadly, Parker had been the one who suggested the crew should sacrifice someone to provide food to everyone else. And they drew straws.
Oh.
So he comes up with the idea, and they draw straws, and Richard Parker, fictional character, cabin boy. Yeah, cabin boy. He drew the shortest one.
Bad deal.
So several decades later, in real life, not in the story, in May of 1884, a ship called Magnanet, set sail from Southampton, heading for Cigna.
Like healthcare?
Yeah. Sydney, heading for Sydney. The ship sank, and they were washed up on an island, and when the food ran out, the crew drew straws to determine which of them they would sacrifice to feed the others. Remember, this is in real life. A cabin boy drew the shortest straw and was killed and consumed. The remaining crew was rescued in September of 1884. So they spent a few months out there.
Okay. It wasn't like The Mist. It wasn't like he killed his family and then 2 minutes later the military shows up.
Oh, yeah. They don't say how long they ate on this cabin boy, but they were not rescued until September of 1884. And their boat sank. So I don't think they really had food to begin with. So it could have been early on. But after that, the captain, Thomas Dudley, and the crewmates, Edwin Stevens, was tried. Those are the only 2 remaining crew members. They were tried and found guilty of murder. They received a reduced sentence, however, of 6 months in jail.
Because they murdered that cabin boy so they could eat him. He wasn't suffering. He wasn't dying or anything. They were just like, yeah, you got to go. We need to eat.
But they tell the story that it was they had agreed that they would draw straws, just like in the book. And they, that was a deal. So they were just trying to survive.
Okay.
But that cabin boy's name was Richard Parker.
Really?
So in real life, just like the book, Richard Parker was a cabin boy on a ship that wrecked, and he was consumed.
How ironic.
Yes. There's also another story of the Titanic. So in 1898.
I think I've heard of that one.
Have you heard this one? It was probably pretty popular.
Oh, okay.
In 1898, Morgan Robinson wrote Futility. In it, a fictional ocean liner called the Titan hits an iceberg in the North Atlantic Ocean and sinks.
Oh.
Despite having been described as unsinkable, a shortage of lifeboats is among the reasons that the majority of the passengers and the crew die. Additionally, the crash occurs during the month of April. In 1912, the Titanic hits an iceberg in the North Atlantic Ocean and sank, despite having been described as an unsinkable ship. A shortage of lifeboats are among the reasons that a majority of the passengers and crew die. The crash occurred during the month of fucking April.
That's crazy.
I mean, you can write off the similarities of hitting an iceberg. Okay, that's probably this Morgan Robinson that wrote this story. He was a sailor, so he knew icebergs were probably a problem. He knew that ships were probably going to get big and big. And everybody would think, oh, this is unsinkable, they're always going to say that. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
And then that also people are cheap as fuck and not put enough lifeboats on ships.
Right.
So all of that's a given. But the fact that they fucking both happened in April, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane to me.
I like that. I mean, that's one of the giveaways too, is the Titanic was supposed to be this unsinkable vessel. Like that's what the claim about that boat was. I mean, I get it. Like no boat should be sinkable, but they were just like, this is the unsinkable boat.
But I bet a bunch of people made that claim, because would you want to get on a boat for several months if they were like, meh, I don't know. It could be bad.
But what they're going to do is they're just going to spin like the other good things on the boat. Like, this is the boat with the best concierge, or, the food is great.
Right. It's like a plane. I mean, you could die in a plane.
I don't want to talk about it. Let's not. I'm already having anxiety about things that are happening, so let's not. Let's talk about boats.
Okay. I'll skip that. But if they told you on the plane that you had free Wi-Fi.
I can't deal with it.
Movies. They were going to bring you snacks. I mean, like, I'd be on the plane.
You can't bring me snacks. It better be booze. Just bring me booze.
Whichever. I like to drink my calories, too. So, all right. My next story is about Eryl Mai Jones, if I'm saying her first name right. She was a 10-year-old who told her mother that in her dream she had gone to school only to discover that it was gone because something black was covering it.
Ooh.
It was the latest in a week's worth of unusual behavior from Eryl. In that week, she also told her mother that she wasn't afraid to die because she would be with Peter and June. On October 21st, 1966, the Welsh village of Aberfan, I could be saying that wrong, was devastated when a national coal board spoil tip. It's basically they're mining for coal. And then the residue from that is making a giant dust.
Oh,
mountain.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So it's all the leftovers from that is what a spoil tip is. It was piled up right behind Eryl's school, and it had accumulated so much that a lot of the town had already complained about it and said, we should do something about this, but the people weren't doing anything, which was against regulations, but of course it still happened. It's 1966. They don't give a shit. And so on October 21st, 1966, this overburden of waste rock removed during the coal and ore mining, it slid down the mountain, and it killed 144 people in the village. 116 of them were children because their school was like the first place it would hit.
Where was this?
This is in a Welsh village.
Oh, Aberfan. Okay. Interesting.
Aberfan. Eryl Mai Jones was one of the victims, along with her classmates, Peter and June, who were found on either side of her.
Oh.
So basically exactly what she told her mother was going to happen.
Wow.
Okay, so that one's sad. Let's jump over to the next one. That's not any better. But the next story is of David Booth, who dreamed about a commercial aviation disaster. May 25th of 1979, American Airlines Flight 191 crashed minutes after taking off from the O'Hare Airport in Chicago. One of the engines came away from the wing, causing damage to the wiring and hydraulic systems of the plane. The plane had no control, and the plane crashed soon after taking off into a trailer park. 272 people died.
Wow.
David Booth is an office manager in Cincinnati, and for 10 nights in a row in 1979, he had the same nightmare. On each occasion, he saw a plane veering off a runway before flipping over and bursting into flames.
Damn.
He called the FAA about these dreams, which he didn't expect them to take him seriously, but they actually did take note of what he was saying.
Huh.
They determined that he must have been talking about a DC-10 or a Boeing 727.
Yes.
Booth also told American Airlines. I don't know if he told other airlines or if he happened to only call American Airlines about it, but because that would
you better listen up because you're the only ones getting this call.
Well, because it was an American Airlines flight, so it would be crazy if that was the only person that he called. So I don't know if they just told the story online that way, that he told American Airlines, or if he called up like Delta and stuff too, you know?
Where is he?
He's in Cincinnati. He's in Ohio. This happened in Illinois. I mean, he's got to have other airlines, JetBlue and shit flying in there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
In 1979, I don't know if JetBlue was around, but I love them though.
Mm-hmm. I like their like free TV and stuff.
Fuck yeah. Anyways, he told American Airlines about this too, and they were all took note of it, but without any details of where this might happen, they really couldn't do much about taking in this information. So,
but it's interesting that they took note of it too. They were just like, yeah, okay, that's really interesting. I guess we'll
listen. Which is not a word to our audience to start calling up American Airlines and the FAA every time you have a weird dream. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it really does mean something. I mean, so actually, I don't know why I just tried to discourage you from that.
This dude had it like 10 nights in a row. I mean, was he calling them every day? And they're just like, okay, well, we'll put it up on our bulletin board. So they're just like, stuck a pin in it. Here you go, guys. Just in case this happens. David here seems to know all about it.
Yeah. So when this stuff aired on the news and everything, David was like blown away that he could not believe that this was actually really happening. Yeah. Though he had that gut feeling that, you know, it meant something. He was investigated by the authorities, and they never found him to be like a suspect. It was just an odd coincidence. Later, it was reported that Booth wasn't the only person that had a premonition about the disaster. Actress Lindsay Wagner, best known for her portrayal as Bionic Woman, was supposed to board that flight, 191 American Airlines, on May 25th.
Was she?
Yep.
Whoa.
But according to Wagner, she suddenly felt sick and she didn't feel like she should get on the plane. And so she was like, never mind. And she went home and as soon as she left the airport, she said she felt perfectly fine. And then found out that this is what happened. So I think it's the consistency of having those feelings too. So if you're having dreams about flights crashing, you don't have an upcoming flight of your own to be on, so it's not paranoia about going on your flight, then if you're having that multiple nights in a row, come on, give the FAA a call and let them know just in case, and as many details about location as you can. That would be helpful. That's what David didn't have, unfortunately.
Right. Well, his dream wasn't that detailed, apparently. He only had just the
crash itself. Yeah. So my next story is about Reeva Steenkamp. On February 14th, 2013, the murder of model Reeva Steenkamp became worldwide news when it was revealed that her boyfriend, Olympic athlete Oscar
De La Renta?
She wishes.
His last name was Pistorius.
Pistoria. He's a Pistorius. What did you say?
Pistorius.
Olympic athlete Oscar Pistorius?
Pistis.
He was nicknamed Blade Runner, so.
What?
Yeah.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was. He was accused of the crime. At the trial, it was determined that Steenkamp
Reeva
was locked in the bathroom and Oscar had fired his gun into the bathroom door. According to his defense attorney, Oscar thought Reeva wasn't in the bathroom. He thought she was in the bedroom, and he claims that he thought it was an intruder breaking into their bathroom area, so he shot through the door. Oscar was ultimately found guilty, and he was sentenced to like life in jail or something ridiculous. Not ridiculous, but needed for sure. A few months after her death, Reeva's parents appeared on a documentary and they showed a drawing that she had completed when she was just 14 years old. It showed an angel, a gunman, in a stairway to heaven. In the image, the man is standing next to a tree in the field, and he is holding a gun. On the other side, there is a young girl wearing angel wings and a ladder going up to heaven. The girl is clearly terrified, and her hands are covering her mouth as if she's like trying to stay quiet, and there's a look of horror on her face. So her parents almost associate, this could be taken out of context. You don't know what was going on in her 14-year-old mind to make her draw this. She wasn't here to tell her own story about this, thanks to this fucking asshole that killed her.
Right.
But her parents believed that it was some kind of foreshadowing to her death.
Wow.
And I mean, there's nothing they could have done about that. So also speaking of murder and assholes and death, actress Sharon Tate was brutally married.
She was
married? She was married to an asshole, but actress Sharon Tate was brutally slain by members of the Manson family on August 9th, 1969. Aside from the bloody nature of the murder, the other shocking aspect was the fact that Tate was 2 weeks away from giving birth. Back in 1976, a full 2 years before the murder, Tate had told friends that the ghost of the former owner of the house she lived in appeared to her at night and scared her out of her bedroom. So she started to run into the living room. And this is a different house from where she was murdered at. She was living in a different house 2 years before that, and a ghost scared her out of her room. She runs to the living room, and as she's running to the living room, she saw a woman on the stairs or at the bottom of the stairs. I'm a little confused by the way the story's told, with her throat slashed.
Wow.
And so she felt like she couldn't go anywhere. She can't go back to her room where the ghost was, and now she's looking at this like slain woman on the stairs. Tate told all her friends that she was convinced that the lady on the stairs was herself. And then obviously 2 years later, she was murdered very brutally. And her place of death was just 1 mile from the house that she was living in when she saw this apparition in 1967. Wow. So the last one is the longest and one of my favorite stories. I don't know why. I just really love this dude. But Abraham Lincoln.
I knew as soon as you started talking about dreams that it would come back to Abraham Lincoln. I don't know why.
Why is it so weird?
It's just because you do love old Abe. You talk about him a lot, so I just had a feeling.
Love him. I love him. I love his wife.
I know. He's got some good stories, so it makes sense.
Listen, I'm a huge Daniel Day-Lewis fan too. And that not new, but not too long ago, movie about Abraham Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis and Sally Field, I was like, this is my most favorite moment. I fucking love them. So anyways, Abraham Lincoln, he, on April 14th, 1965, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States, he was murdered by John Wilkes Booth. We all know that story. According to Lincoln's friend and the occasional bodyguard, Warren Hill Lamon, Lincoln predicted his assassination. Lamon claimed that Lincoln shared details of a dream that he had just a few days before his death. In it, the president walked into the White House East office, where he found a body protected by soldiers and surrounded by a mourning crowd. Mourning, not like it was the morning, like they're crying. Yeah. Lincoln asked one of the soldiers who died, and they responded, the president. They also followed up by saying he was killed by an assassin. There are doubts over to how truthful this story is. This Warren Hill guy, he did not tell his story until about 20 years after Lincoln's death. And Lincoln's widow didn't share the same story as well. And it's kind of known that Lincoln was pretty open with his wife about his experiences and dreams and whatnot. So it's odd that she didn't know that he had this like odd dream as well. There's also people that suggest this story doesn't mean that Lincoln predicted his own murder necessarily saw the death of another murder. There's a lot of stuff that you'll find out there about the connection between Lincoln and Kennedy and all these like weird kind of dates and timelines and stuff like that. And there's somebody that tells this story where Lincoln says he did have this dream, but he also dreamed that he walked up to the casket and he looked inside and he did not recognize the person that was in there. And that's why people think he is seeing the body of John F. Kennedy opposed to himself. But in this little snippet that I found online, it didn't mention that. It just said that Lincoln had this dream about a death and stuff like that. And if you have a dream about a death of a president that was assassinated and then a few days later or whatever, you're fucking killed too. I mean, like, it seems more likely that it's a forecoming of what will happen to you necessarily than it's a forecoming of what will happen to somebody 100 years from this date or whatever. But the Kennedy-Lincoln connection is also a really like crazy story as well, which I'm not going to get into.
Oh no, come on. I love some conspiracy
No, we're
theories.
not going there. But it is possible that Warren made the entire story up, of course. However, there is evidence to suggest that the former president was extremely interested in depicting the meanings of dreams, like myself.
Like, yeah.
And that's why we're best friends. And that, and what they say about the future. In 1863, Lincoln wrote to his wife and said that we should put the pistols away because he said he had an ugly dream about his son. So he wanted to make sure that their guns were like put away. Now, just so you know, they had 4 sons total. None of them passed away by any kind of accidental firing issue or anything like that. 3 of the 4 passed away from disease, 2 at a young age, 1 at 18, and then the other grew to adulthood and was a very successful person. But you never know if like
that was
him having that dream telling his wife prevented from something happening.
Right.
So, and then Mary Todd herself, and then I think this is why I like Lincoln so much. It's just the two of them are so cool to me because Mary Todd, well, it's kind of sad. She was really messed up about the loss of her sons, the 2 at the young age, and then later the third, maybe he was actually the second. I think he was the second child, died of disease at 18, and she had just had enough after that. But that pushed her to really follow the spiritual movement. She wanted to connect with spirits, and she was very in tune, very much like we are, but she has a way better reason. She was hurt by the loss of her children.
I like our reason just fine.
I don't want her reason for sure.
Right.
I feel for her mostly, and just really appreciate the kind of path that she took. I feel like if it was me, that's where I would go. Yeah. If I'd even be able to function.
No doubt.
But according to the members of his cabinet, Lincoln spoke about his dreams often. He tended to have these very powerful dreams right before big moments in the Civil War. And so he felt like they carried a lot of weight. And just a side note, we wrote a blog about this before, but Lincoln also claimed to have seen his doppelganger. I mean, I just love how into the supernatural he is.
So when you first started talking about your dreams and stuff, I don't know why, but I was just like, oh yeah, Lincoln and his doppelganger. And I'm like, wait, that has nothing to do with dreams. So what am I thinking?
It doesn't, but it does. Like, because seeing your doppelganger is supposed to be a foreshadowing that something
bad is going to happen to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the night of his first election, he was sitting on the couch and he was taking a nap. He woke up and he happened to glance into a mirror where he saw himself and a second face, which was also himself. I actually had that happen to me. I woke up from my sleep. I sat up. I looked over to my dresser, which also had a mirror over the top of it. And I saw myself. And then right next to me, another face, and it was my face, but it had a different hair color, a hair color which I rocked later in life with like red highlights in it. I did that later.
Did you look at yourself? Did you like turn and look at you, or did you just see yourself there?
I turned and I saw myself in the mirror, and then I saw a face right next to me in the mirror, just like fucking Abe Lincoln. Me and him were the same. That's a big claim. But there was myself in the way that I looked at the time, which is probably just the way I look now. Mousy brown hair. I was a lot younger. And then right next to me was my same face, but paler. And it had red streaks or highlights right in the front. Like what I said, when I was a teenager, I did that. I put red streaks in my hair because I thought it was cool, but I wasn't. But I looked super pale as well. And so like waking up the next morning and thinking about that whole experience, and I was like, shit, I think I'm going to die when I'm like whatever age that is, because I looked like a fucking ghost.
You thought that was a foreshadowing?
Yeah. I was like, don't put those red streaks in your hair and get wild, Wendy. You're going to fucking die. But
and then the teenage years appeared and you're like, it's time to get wild.
Love putting the red hair in my in there occasionally and then regretting it later.
Yeah, me too.
But Abe Lincoln, it didn't stop him either.
Wait, he put red streaks in his hair too?
Yeah, he did.
Holy shit! No,
you didn't know that? That's what's on my next line. He put red streaks of Kool-Aid in his hair.
Dude was badass.
No, he saw himself, and then he saw his second self was paler and ghostly like, just like my fucking dream. This is why I love this dude. I feel like a connection.
Yeah.
Anyways, this was on his first election though, so it was years before, what happened. Yeah. And he told his wife about it, Mary Todd, and she was like hysterical, and she was like, this is not good. This is not going to turn out great. So, like I said, I had to throw in the Lincoln story as well, because I just really love how him and Mary Todd were so into the supernatural and spiritual things. They're just so cool how open they were to everything that was going on around them. So back to the original story with Dr. Larry there. Oh. Those doctors I talked about before as well, the psychologists, the Nobel Prize winners and stuff, I just want to throw out there. They not only believe that they've discovered evidence of like clairvoyancy and telepathic experiences, they also have a working theory that there is no boundaries between minds, not even between certain types of species. There's a story, meaning that we're all one mind and we're connected. And that's how we can kind of foreshadow what's going to happen to the next person and have that psychic ability, that you just kind of have to tune into it. There is one story that makes them believe this, or it's their like most popular story to tell, at least to kind of show proof in that, is that there was a story of an elephant rescue worker in Africa that devoted his whole life to saving the elephants. And then when he died, on the day that his funeral was being held, a herd of elephants from miles away traveled to his home at the exact hour that his funeral began.
Wow.
I mean, I don't think they sent invitations out to elephants, so.
Was somebody playing Jumanji at that time?
I thought about that. But so they believe that we are all connected by a single consciousness, where I admit this idea is a little hard to swallow. You don't necessarily want to be connected with every single mind that you know. There's lots of people I'd rather not
get
close with.
Right.
Murderers for one. Those are one.
Yeah.
But it is a unique idea to think about. And this whole, the elephants being drawn to his funeral, that's pretty fucking wild. And that's crazy.
That is wild.
So, Dr. Dossie.
I have to say that I would also like a herd of elephants at my funeral. So if we could arrange that somehow. Do I petition for that now? Do I start trying to connect with them?
You just start thinking about it really hard now.
Now? Okay. Yeah, I like that. I think that would be super cool.
But I'm not going to do elephants like you.
Well, don't do snakes like your dreams or Gila monsters or dinosaurs.
And that'll be what happens to me, is some cold-blooded ass fucking animal is what is really what I'm connected with. I'd like to think that I'm the spirit of a bear or something like that. And then it's really like fucking snakes showing up. Like, what's wrong with me that that's my spirit animal? I don't like it.
Hey, the snakes are cool.
I mean, sure. I don't want to run into snakes in public though. So how can your spirit animal be also what you're like so fucking afraid of?
But isn't that like a clue? You fear something that you don't fully understand, technically. I mean, that's why a lot of people are just like totally against the paranormal.
Like, do you think they're all poisonous and you don't want to be near them?
I mean, I do. Like, look, so when I was younger, I was kicking a ball in Chicago. I was outside. My parents were all inside drinking with everybody or doing something, I don't know, doing adult things. And I was the only kid. So I was outside kicking a ball. And then all of a sudden, a snake flies up from where I'm kicking the ball because I kicked a snake in the grass. Yeah. So the ball and a snake go flying. And I just stop dead in my tracks, turn around and start screaming, I kicked a snake. I kicked a snake. Ah, screaming, freaking out. And they're all like, it's fine. It's a garden snake. Well, yeah, you weren't right there where the snake came flying up when you were kicking a ball. I mean, it shocked the shit out of me. Of course, it didn't do anything to me because I just kicked it.
Because how do you know what kind of snake it is that quick? Like, I mean, I don't know if it's because we both wear goggles. We both wear glasses. I just made a word up. We both wear glasses. And so I don't feel like we register things that, like eagle eyes, So when I see a snake, they're all fucking poisonous to me until you tell me they're not poisonous. And then I'll pet them and hold them. But like, I got to be confirmed this is not poisonous.
Nope. I mean, I feel that same way about spiders, and I'm still not going to hold them. They don't have to be poisonous. I don't want to be anywhere near them. I do not like them. So, but I was reading about spirit animals too, and technically, from what I read, a spider should be my spirit animal because it's something that I have a great fear of. It is very unknown to me. They can't, certain types of them, I guess, can kill you. Maybe not me because I'm kind of a heavyweight these days. I think I'd have to be a little bit littler.
Oh, shut up. A brown recluse could eat through your skin.
It definitely could. So I might lose a limb off of a brown recluse, sure, but I'd still be alive. I'd just be, I'd be Pirate Chris. Captain. Missing a leg due to the spider. But, I mean, in theory, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you're intimidated of. I mean, I don't personally like deer. I think that they are beautiful, but I am also very intimidated by them.
They have Lyme disease.
Yeah, from things that I've read about myself, like a deer should actually be my spirit animal, not a cat.
Oh, I just love bears. I really love bears. I just want to hug them. So I think that should be my spirit animal.
They want to hug you too, Wendy. And then maul you.
They do. I dream of reptiles, lizards and snakes and alligators and stuff way more. And I'm cold all the fucking time. So, and I joke all the time I'm like a reptile because I'm cold-blooded and like I can't stand the cold. So I'm certain that's, and even if you look up like my great grandfather is Irish. And if you look up like your Irish spirit animal, I don't know what I was looking up, but something about Celtic animal symbol for my date of birth, and it's a snake. And I was like, well, that makes a whole lot of fucking sense. Why I always dream about fucking snakes, though I don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah. I don't either. I don't like snakes. I don't like spiders either. Like I said, I'm not down for that. I won't make a spider my spirit animal. I will go with deer first, even though I don't like them.
That's a terrible, spirit animal. I don't even know. That's not even an animal. It's an insect.
It's gross is what it is. And I don't see how they could have spirits. I'm just saying. That might be wrong of me. And I hope I'm not offending anybody.
Spirits. I mean, come on. You've read the book, Charlotte's Web.
Oh, come on. Don't throw that at me. Don't throw that at me.
I'm going to throw that at you. He was a good person.
Oh, fine. That's, I'll make an exception there, but we're not going to go into Spider-Man. We're not going to just start like naming all these other ones either.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one too. It doesn't really count, but, back to the story just real quick. FYI for you guys out there trying to decipher your dreams or experiences or whatever, Dr. Larry Dawson, Dawsey,
Larry
Dawson. I'm just renaming him. Okay. Dr. Dawsey offers 3 criteria to look for when you are trying to decide if you should take like serious note to your dream, or if it's just you just ate chili for dinner and like, you just are having that wild madness.
That's true.
From spicy food. So
what's the third?
Vividness of the dream. A lot of people that have experienced actual premonitions in dreams describe that those visions were seen at a camera-like quality. So I guess really good. Not like you're watching it like a video, but that it's so vivid like you're there. That's what I would assume. Maybe?
I don't know. When you say camera-like quality, to me it sounds like you're watching it, but you're not really there.
That's okay. So that's how I took it too, because I have dreams where I feel like, man, that happened to me. It was so vivid.
Yeah.
But also none of that stuff has ever come true. So vividness to the level of where it's like you're watching it like it's a movie, I guess, is more the quality that you should look for. Also reoccurrence, of course. So if it happens a lot to you over and over again, that must mean something. Another is that if the dream is associated with physical symptoms. So if you're having a dream that you've got some kind of issue with your stomach and then your stomach's hurting all the time, then you should go to the fucking doctor, okay? So, I mean, like, the fact that it was hurting all the time, you should have went to the doctor. But now that you're dreaming about it, you should probably really go get it checked out. Possible premonition deals with death. That should always take note. I guess it's not a light thing to dream of death. I would tell you for a fact that it's very rare that I have dreamed that I actually died in a dream. And I've never physically felt the full blow of death, but like to be injured, like shot or whatnot in a dream. Have you had a dream like that before?
Yes.
You have, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I guess that's what he's saying. Any dreams like that, or take serious note of it, at least write it down and think about it. And if there's any kind of adjustments you can make in your life to avoid it, maybe you should do it just in case.
Wow.
And then lastly,
I did the opposite, I think.
What did you're not supposed to like run towards those things?
I think I did. But seriously, so my reoccurring dream that I had when I was a child was that I was being chased by a bunch of different people. I'm not really sure why. Just as I got older, I thought, well, it seemed like I was a witch, and I was being chased by a bunch of people who like thought I was a witch or didn't like me because I was a witch. And I was chased to the point where I ran off of a cliff. And I wake up every single time I'm about to hit a rock at the bottom of the cliff at the ocean. So I moved from Memphis, Tennessee, where there were no rocky oceans or cliffs or water, to New England, where that shit is everywhere. Also witches.
Literally.
Yes.
Everywhere.
So, yeah. Okay. Didn't mean to cut you off, but
did you felt like that was more, did you not feel like that was a view of a past life?
Yes, I did. I don't think it's something that's going to happen. The clothes and everything are not, I mean, I might wear it as like a Halloween like outfit. It's not something that you would see in this present day. Everybody was wearing something older. They were not carrying like shotguns. They were carrying like pitchforks and like, torches and shit, like a legit witch hunt, which I mean, I don't think people would do that today. I mean, unless that was just like the closest thing that they had. So yes, I think this is more
we could get to that point.
We could go back, yeah.
Not there so far.
Mine was, I always thought it was of a past life, and it was a reoccurring dream that I had multiple times as a child, and that's why it's still very clear to me what happened, but they were so bad that I would wake up like as I was hitting that rock, and I felt it, like I felt the impact, like I'd wake up, shook up, crying because it was just like so real to me that it happened.
Yeah. I have had dreams where after I wake up, I'm like, there's something about that one that feels like it happened before. I don't think we could ever do a podcast even on that, because how do you know for sure that visions of a past life are true? Those people can't report on those things, So
I mean, right? I can only look so far back into Chris Duncan's life, and that's as far as that story goes. I never got a name off of her. I don't know. I have no idea.
But it's crazy, the vividness of some dreams that you feel like you were there because you can relate with the emotions that person in that dream is having. That feels like yourself, but it's not the same.
Well, it's that emotion to have to jump off of a cliff. I mean, that's not something that I would ever want to do, but I had to in this situation just to get away from those people. And then every single time of the impact of that rock, I mean, it's a lot of emotion to just put away, to write down. I was, here's my dream. Here's my reoccurring dream for the 14th night in a row.
And to have it back to back. See, that's what Dr. Larry says. happens. Lastly, he also says that his last little criteria here is that if a person shares the same dream as you, which that's
cool.
crazy. So to tell you one of those crazy stories, hopefully without crying, I can tell you this one. Help me with this name here. Ooh, that's a U at the end.
Okay. Bassier?
Okay, we'll go with Bassier. To share a story with you of two people that shared the same dream. The New York Times, they're not called City Times. I just renamed them there. You know, a magazine that's been around for a million years. It once ran a story of a husband and a wife having the same dream that the Twin Towers were falling. The husband was Lawrence Bassieu.
Okay.
He was the fire safety director of the World Trade Center. He lost his life rescuing children from the Children's Care Center on 9/11. So they had this dream sometime before that even happened. And then they both shared the dream and they were just like, wow, that's weird, you know, or whatever. And of course, he's going to go to work like he normally does. And on September 11th, 2000 and he was at work and he lost his life while he was rescuing children out of that child care center because they had a daycare center in the building.
Wow.
So that's two people that admittedly shared the same dream. And it was also of death. And I mean, there's nothing that they could have done. He wasn't going to stop his life because of this dream or whatever. And there was nothing that he could have done about it. But that's a sad one. But on a lighter note, I have a friend named Sam, one of our number one fans here, that her and her best friend Katie, who lives in Colorado, shared the same dream about Ben Affleck once.
Of all people, are you serious?
So maybe one day that dream will come true.
They're moving to New England. That's what that means. Ben Affleck's from New England. He's a Boston guy.
Yeah. Sam had told me the story that she dreamed that she saw her best friend Katie with Ben Affleck, and she was like, "What are you doing with Ben Affleck? He's no good for you," or whatever. And
so
Katie
weird.
tells her the story like without her sharing her story with Katie. That Katie says, "I don't want to admit this to you, but I had a dream about being with Ben Affleck or whatever." And I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?"
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's really weird that they share. You know, you and I share a lot of the same.
Very similar.
Yeah, not so much dreams, but like. You'll be sick at the same time I'll be sick and stuff like that type thing. Like, you were sick and then I wake up and I was like, oh, I woke up and I had a bad acid reflux or whatever. And you were like, yeah, I was like vomiting all night or whatever. You know, something like that.
Surprise, surprise. I was sick.
About Ben Affleck together though.
I like that much better.
I mean, I'm not super down with the dude Ben Affleck, like Batman movies. I don't like dig that. So I'm a Michael Keaton Batman fan, but
you don't like Fat Batman?
No. No. I would take what's the other guy who's like
Christian Bale?
Christian Bale. Oh, he's so serious.
He's creepy as fuck.
I will take that Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck. I'm already obsessed. I will take that Batman over Ben Affleck. But Ben Affleck is adorable.
Yeah, for sure.
I like his friend Matt Damon better.
Oh, me too. Yeah, me too.
Let's have a shared dream about Ben Affleck. No, wait.
Matt Damon.
Let's have a shared dream over Matt Damon.
That'd be awesome. Then that would coincide with Sam's dream. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, agreed.
I like that. That's it. That was my story about premonition.
I generally have dreams where I don't feel like it's necessarily me. I've told you this before. Like in my dream, it's so real and it's so me. But when I wake up, I'm like, I don't know these people. They're all people that I know in my dream, but when I wake up, I'm like, I don't know who the fuck these people are. I don't know who this house is. I don't know who that car belongs to or these animals. It's like a whole house. And in my dream, I know them. They're my family, my friends, my husband, my wife, whatever, but they're not. I obviously don't have a wife in this life. It's just
but
weird. It's like I'm living somebody else's life in my dreams.
My dreams are like that too, though. And I've read something once before, and maybe this is not necessarily true for a lot of people, but I did see it somewhere that dreaming about a stranger is like a big deal. And I dream about strangers all the fucking time.
Yeah, I do too. All the time. All the time. I'm not the kind of person. My husband, he says all the time, if he has a dream that he's not particularly like digging, he can just like in his dream be like, this is a dream, wake up. I'm not that kind of person. I'm so into my dream. I'm so into that life that even if it's horrifying or terrible, I can't just be like, this is just a dream, silly head, wake up out of it. I don't have that kind of logic, I guess, even in my dreams. In my dreams, they are so real. It is that life, and that's what I'm dealing with. It is what it is. Even if that person is dying, even if that person is trying to kill me, even if me and you are in a ghost investigation. And did I even tell you? I think I did. We were investigating this abandoned like hotel or something, and all of a sudden they tried to sacrifice you or whatever, and we're like, we gotta go. When do we gotta go?
I remember that one. We were like at a party, and it just got super creepy all of a sudden.
It got so crazy. Yeah.
I had a dream one time that we were investigating the Bell Witch in Adams, Tennessee.
Oh.
And we went into the cabin, and I was pregnant apparently. But I was like pushed and elevated up against the wall, and like a witch was trying to take my baby. Now this was years ago, but my kids are almost 15 and 12 now. So it was definitely, I've not had kids since then. It wasn't anything like that. I always thought like, ooh, what would really happen if we went to the Bell Witch then?
I want to go. Yeah. Ooh, but that's creepy.
Yeah. It was such a cool dream, but like I have such fun with our dreams because these are experiences that in dreams, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Now we go back and this shit actually happens. We probably be traumatized for life.
Clearly. Yes, I would be.
But I am kind of like your husband, and I've told you this before, that I can control when dreams start to get really dark and scary. Sometimes we used to investigate, like go to a cemetery all night or a location all night kind of locally, and then we'd come home, and then you got to go home and sneak into bed. Your whole house is already asleep, and then you're just like, you're so pumped, but then you're like getting into bed and like, oh, I guess I gotta go to sleep. Anyways, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and I don't know if I was dreaming or if I was awake, but I would see shit in the room with me, and it'd be dark, like a dark tall mass, and it'd be bad, and I'd be like screaming at it to leave me alone and stuff like that. But also at the same time that I'm screaming at it to leave me alone, I'm also like basically fighting with myself, like, wake your fucking ass up. This is not cool. We don't want to be a part of this. And I'd eventually be able to get myself awake, and I'd like jerk and wake up, and there'd be nothing going on.
Would that only happen after our graveyard adventures?
It would happen every time, after we come back to investigations, which is crazy to think. It doesn't happen anymore, but now we meet at a location, we travel there, when we take long flights back. This is when we would go out and investigate, and then immediately come back and be like, now go to sleep.
Yeah. And that's what you would do. I wouldn't do that.
Well, because it's like late, and I know that I can't be like doing anything else, so I'd immediately have to like sneak into bed. And sometimes I'd like go and like I'd just go to sleep on the couch so I wouldn't disturb anybody. I woke up one night, and my children were not of this age yet, but I woke up, and there was like what was a 10, 12-year-old boy standing in my living room with a Boy Scout uniform on, which my boys do go to Boy Scouts, but they were younger, and he was standing there in a uniform, and he was that age. And I woke up only because I heard somebody say the word mommy. And after I woke up and I kind of like stare at this image, and then it goes away, I get up and I go to check on my own kids, and my kids are asleep. And that has nothing to do with this premonition thing that we were talking about. But like, you don't know, sometimes you're confused by what's waking and what's asleep dreams, but you're like, God, that felt fucking real. That felt really fucking real. I always note what my dreams are, what's going on with my dreams, because I can't let it go and I want to see if it leads to something else. But so far, it's led to nothing.
But it's interesting. It's research nonetheless. I mean, you find things in your dreams, I think, that are kind of hidden deep in your subconscious. And, just writing that stuff down and keeping a journal of it helps you to kind of, I don't know, figure out more about yourself.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. When I Google, what does this mean? A lot of the times it's like, you fear this, you fear that. And I was like, yeah, I sure do.
You have anxiety about work. How the fuck did you know?
Oh.
Dreams? You guys are crazy.
You're going to be betrayed. I figured that.
No, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting thing that the brain does.
I definitely have a firm belief that we are that our minds are capable of a lot more than we allow them to be capable of. We allow them to do, because we try to be so in control and whatnot. Yes, and that's why I love when I let go and I have dreams and I'm just so intrigued by them, because like, this is Wendy unleashed. And I like that a lot better than Wendy trying to be, conform to society. She's boring.
That's the whole point, right? I mean, really, that's what they say, like with kids apparently have like a better chance at seeing paranormal or experiencing the paranormal, because they're still just imaginative and everything is a new possibility. Everything is an exciting experience for them. So for us at this point, we can go and investigate the paranormal, or we can go to sleep and dream. I mean, that's what's left for us, for our experiences. We're grown-ups now. So we've kind of closed off that childlike innocence that the children, they have, and that's why they're able to see things and speak to things so openly, and we can't. We have, like I was complaining earlier, fuck you, ghost, I got work in the morning, I got shit to do.
Yeah, and that was me. Like, my whole love for the paranormal started, I think I was already fascinated with it as a child. But actual proof of it, what happened when I was 8 years old, maybe. And I have yet to ever have same experience like that since then. And that's all I crave, is like to see that ghost moving toward me like I did as a child. And I think because, you're just adulting too much, and you're too in control of who you are and what you're seeing, and you're trying to reason it, that it won't happen. Well, but in dreams, I'm like, yeah, you do whatever. I don't care. Right. I love this.
You get your chance to let go. Like you said, it's time for Wendy Unleashed.
Anyways, that's my story about premonitions. If anybody wants to share with us, did I say this earlier about our email? I don't know if that was
in the other podcast.
I don't know where I am. Hey, if you have premonitions or dreams that came true, please, please, please share them with us at creaturesofthenight.paranormal@gmail.com, and we will share them on our podcast, or we will post them onto our social media, which is COTN_paranormal on Facebook and on Instagram. So if you share our stories with us, we'll share them with the world. Yeah. And we can't wait to hear them, because this is fascinating to us.
Seen your doppelganger? Write us. Yeah. We want to know that shit too. That's crazy.
That is crazy. I just can't. What if I dye my hair in like another year with those red streaks, and then that's when it happens? It wasn't really me as a teenager. It was me. I don't know if I look that much different.
I mean, and here I can't tell you not to, because personally I like the red streaks on you, Wendy. So it's going to be tough for me to keep you away from doing that sort of shit.
I always get bored with this mousy brown, and I'm like, let's do something. Stupid red that never goes away. Anyways, that's it. That's all I got for you.
Cool. It was a good one.
Thank you for listening. Yeah. Let us know your own stories. That's it.
Thanks. All right. See you guys later. Bye.
Bitches.
I'm so glad I didn't stop recording.
Oh, did you?